everybody, welcome to Top Comics to Pre-Order in a Flash. I'm Andy.
I'm Matt.
We're here with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and this is our real quick show where we show you some of the biggest and best books that you can pre-order by this weekend so you don't miss out on any of the comic goodness. So head on over to infinityflux.net. Go ahead and start placing your pre-orders. That way you don't miss out because we would hate for that to happen. But we've got some big books to talk about this week, starting with
Amazing Spider-Man #1. This is the new series that is going to start immediately following the end of this current one. We're not actually sure if this weekend is the final order cutoff, but that's what the distributor says for now. It's a little bit weird because the final issue of the current run is also on FOC this weekend, and it comes out 1 week before this. But you can still go ahead and pre-order it right now. And in this book, Peter is doing what Peter does, looking for a job. He's unemployed, but he's interrupted by the Rhino, who normally he has an okay time with. But the Rhino this time seems a little bit more savage, a little bit stronger. And apparently, there is a major Spider Man villain working behind the scenes, powering up other Spider Man villains, including one that we haven't seen in over 7 years. So, a new start, new creative team to Amazing Spider Man.
And next up, a big one. This is Absolute Flash #1. So our next Absolute book after the Trinity has had a good long kind of first story arcs on each of them. We're starting our next ones with Absolute Flash by Jeff Lemire and Nick Robles. And we both have read this book already. And let me say, this is one of the kind of craziest ones so far. We can't say a whole lot about it, but in this, Flash is Wally West, and that is explained why it is Wally. Also, we do get some other Flash universe characters appearing in their absolute form in this one, which are a fun surprise. But the mysteries are just building in this first issue, and a lot of questions are raised to basically everything going on. But it was a really, really good first issue.
And it's beautiful too.
Beautiful. You know how the original Absolute books did. They sold out immediately. Don't miss out on pre-ordering Absolute Flash.
And next is a new book called Crush Depth. This is going to be a 5-issue series. This is set in the near future where the planet has been irrevocably altered by climate change. This is about a girl here named Liana Pearson. She's the chief science officer of a giant nuclear submarine that two brothers are kind of fighting over. And she's caught in between those two brothers and also wrestling with her own fear of the surface world because it's so toxic up there now. But when something alien infiltrates the submarine that they're in, she is going to have to make a choice. Does she flee to the toxic surface, or does she steer the sub into the crushing depths of the abyss?
Win-win situation. Next up, we have Pooluminati. This one, I mean, you can basically figure out the premise from the title. So this is by Zach Gorman and Alexis Kisarano with art by Enid Balaam. And in this, Wade Wilson is about to learn one of the biggest truths of the Marvel Universe, and especially about him, that there is an entire Illuminati-style group of Deadpools from across the multiverse, and they need him for something that's going to happen. And there is a conspiracy that may spell disaster for pools across the multiverse. So if one Deadpool is not enough, well, how about an entire multiverse of them all teamed up for some shenanigans?
Next up is DC and Sonic the Hedgehog #1. This is going to be a 5-issue series. And in this series, Darkseid invades the world of Sonic the Hedgehog, seeking the ultimate power. And he is too much for Sonic and his friends to handle. But luckily, the Justice League show up as well to back up Sonic and his friends. And yeah, so it's just cool, fun crossover.
Next up, we have The Last Boy. This is really cool. This is by Dan Panosian. This is kind of not a retelling of Peter Pan, but almost like a spiritual sequel to Peter Pan, because years after the original story of Peter and Wendy, Peter is the last one in Neverland who kind of hasn't given up his adventurous youth. And meanwhile, in London, Wendy is longing for her childhood and the adventures and the no responsibility that she had. But these two worlds are going to collide once again as Peter encounters an aging Captain Hook, and it becomes the catalyst for Peter's realization that Neverland is growing up without him. So it sounds like it's going to be also kind of a look at, growing up and what that means and the loss of innocence and everything, but with this great Dan Panosian story style that he does so well. So I'm very excited about this one. And if you're a fan of the classic story, you might want to try it out.
Next is Doom's Division. This is our next One World Under Doom tie-in. And we don't know a whole lot about this yet, but Tiger Division is ordered to uphold Doom's new world order with the help of some new team members. You can see some of them on the cover here, but not everybody on the team is cool with what Doom is doing. And I don't know if they're going to come to blows with each other or what, but yeah, the next tie into this series.
And next up, we have one that I'm very excited about. This is Mouse Guard Dawn of the Black Axe. So we have a lot of Mouse Guard fans around the store, but there hasn't been one in quite a while. We are finally getting this 3-issue miniseries that is celebrating the 20th anniversary of Mouse Guard with this story that is actually set as chronologically the earliest story in the Mouse Guard universe. So it'll be a great jumping on point if you've never checked it out. But we meet the first mouse to wield the fabled Black Axe as he sets off on an epic quest to rid the mouse territories of serpents. So I'm very excited about this. The art is by Gabriel Rodriguez, who was the artist on Lock and Key.
Mm.
And like always, it is written by David Peterson, the creator of Mouse Guard. These are always fun. They're like kind of a smaller square style comic. Don't miss out on this one because it's going to be a lot of fun.
And next is Zatanna number 2. Number 1 came out this week, and it is so incredibly good. And in this one, after the events of the first issue, I don't want to tell you what happened, but Zatanna is left debilitated and her magic is on the fritz. And once you read the first issue, you'll know why that is. So basically, she goes seeking a cure, I guess we could call it a cure, for what is ailing her. And while also trying to figure out the connection between her and the Lady White, who we saw in the first issue. And this guest stars Blue Devil as well. Andy and I both read this already, and it is so unbelievably good.
Yeah.
Probably even better than the first issue.
I think it is, and yeah,
This is awesome.
awesome.
And beautiful. Like, if you love the first issue, you will love this one.
Yes, absolutely. And next up, one of my new favorite books is Bug Wars. Issue number 1 was awesome, and we've already read issue number 2, and let me tell you, it is just as incredible as Slade Slaymaker, our main character, is now miniaturized in his backyard and is a captive of the mites. And he is entering the most dangerous world, the most dangerous hive in the entire backyard, Swarm City, and Slade will have to fight for his survival. You can get a little hint of that on the cover as he enters the blood hole. So don't miss out on this. Still such a homage to Conan, but with its own world building. We get introduced to a bunch of new characters. So much fun. Definitely check this out. And that is it for Top Comics to pre-order in a flash. So thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and head on over to infinityflux.net right now, where you can go ahead and start your pre-ordering. That way you don't forget and you are not disappointed when you don't get the latest and greatest books like Absolute Flash, like Amazing Spider-Man number 1. There's some huge ones this week that you don't want to miss out on. And that is it for us right now. Until next time.
See ya.
See ya.